Tonight, at Copley Hospital, just a few miles away, a baby girl will be born. If she's born to a single mother, there's a 40% chance she'll grow up in poverty. If she and her twin brother tomorrow decide to start their own businesses, hers will earn 19 cents for every dollar his does. She is a citizen of a country that is the only industrialized nation without paid family leave. She is resident in a state that has never sent a woman to Congress, the only state in the Union. We will have closed the wage gap when she is 32. If she's white, if she's black or Latina, she'll be about 150. This was not the picture that I had imagined when I was growing up. My picture was shaped a lot by my family. One great-grandmother was a suffragette. The other ran for the town council, and she was the only candidate, female candidate, in a field of 8. Because of my crafty grandmother. My sister and I didn't run around in princess costumes, but we ran around as superheroes. Now, the context in which my sister and I were growing up, too, was really dynamic for women. The world seemed to be just brimming with women who were busting one glass ceiling after another. Sandra Day O'Connor, Sally Ride, Geraldine Ferraro, Shirley Chisholm, all of them seemed to be, to me, living proof that a woman's place at any table, any time, was a given. Obviously, a lot of the people who were breaking those glass ceilings looked a lot like me. White, middle class, with college degrees. So the fact that I could feel so hopeful about the future had a little something to do with my privilege. If you had told me when I was a senior in college that I would spend the better part of 3 decades working to advance the possibilities for girls and for women, I would have told you you were nuts. Why, I would have asked. Why would that be necessary? Well, then I went to work. And I was a teacher at an all-girls school, and I would watch girls morph from being these feisty 6th graders who would challenge me about everything to 10th graders who would start every sentence with, I could be totally wrong, but I would wonder, where did you go? When I ran training programs for women up here in Vermont, I began to realize how many women's aspirations were driven not by what they wanted or what they needed, but by the expectations or the needs of other people. I also learned how quickly a woman's plans could be derailed by childcare that fell through, or a car repair that was just too expensive, or a boyfriend that really didn't like the idea that she might make more money than he did. And as I brought their stories to the places where I would talk as an advocate, I noticed something else. A whole lot of pushback and discomfort. One person would always say in every audience, well, listen now, women are going to college at a higher rate than men. Or they'd say, I hear that boys are struggling a lot more than girls are in school. Employers would justify their all-male payroll by saying, well, I hired a woman once, and she didn't work out. All of these comments were really kind of like periods at the end of a sentence. They weren't invitations to conversation. So I changed my tack. Instead of talking about women and getting women into higher paying jobs, I talked about women as an underdeveloped, labor source in a labor-strapped state. Instead of talking about women's access to STEM fields and leadership positions, I talked about the link between gender balance and corporate profitability. It was a backdoor strategy that was pretty successful. It won new allies and it tamped down a whole lot of the pushback. And it was true. But here's the problem. I wasn't talking about women. I wasn't talking about women's experience. Instead, I was talking about a woman's economic value to everybody else. Well, no more. 2018 has been proclaimed the year of the woman. And you know what? It sounded kind of familiar. So I did a little bit of research, talking to my friends on the World Wide Web, and I discovered that we have actually named the Year of the Woman 9 times since 1966, often in anticipation of change that never quite materialized the way that we thought it would. And the problem with such bold pronouncements is that they lull us into thinking that we've done it, we've done the work, but it's never done. No matter how many women win elections in the fall, no matter how Me Too affects corporate policy or individual behavior, gender norms and bias are baked in. Hard to discern and harder still to even address. That's why orchestras in the 70s and the 80s, lacking a critical mass of women, 5%, decided that they would audition people behind screens. And so they tried that out, and it didn't make much of a difference. Except that somebody made a link between the sounds of a woman's shoes across the stage and the sound of a man's shoes, and in fact, thought maybe if they put carpet underneath those shoes, gender might not be as apparent. And you know what? Women advance to the final round at a 30% higher rate. So think about what that means. Think about what those screens meant. They were an admission that bias might exist. And they represented a determination to do something about it. I don't care what we call 2018. What I care about, though, is that we approach this year and the coming years with the same kind of open-mindedness and resolve. Let's not argue about whether gender equity is still an issue. It is. Let's not debate whether we can address the needs of boys if we acknowledge the needs of girls. We can. Let's not call these issues women's issues. They're not. Gender balanced leadership, paid family leave, gender paid equity, pay equity, those are issues where progress benefits us all. And finally, let's not put our faith in momentum to carry this forward, because it won't. Momentum is a function of how hard it is to stop something or change its direction. I would argue that a ping pong ball is really easy to stop, right? It's light. A train, much harder. I'd say that the momentum behind political and social change is more ping pong ball than it is train. And what that says to us is we need to be vigilant. We need to be, all of us, in no matter where we fall on the gender spectrum. And we need to be in it for the long haul. In 2006, the United States was ranked 23rd in having successfully closed gender gaps in 4 key areas. Today, we're 49th. We can do better than that. We must do better than that. Because there is a baby across the way, and she is counting on us. Thank you.